Okay, I'd like to welcome everybody here today. I am Trent Thiele. I'm part of the Iowa Pork Producers Association board, and I'd like to introduce our speakers. First off, our crew, we have Cristen Clark here to my left. Cristen is a sixth-generation farmer wife, mother of two, blogger, and award-winning cook and baker. Along with her husband, Cristen raises hogs in modern hog barns and show pigs in smaller barns and outdoors. She also farms with her parents and sister, where they raise corn, soybeans, beef, cattle, southeast of Des Moines near Runnels. Outside of the farm, Cristen has a passion for baking and enjoys teaching others, especially sharing her old-fashioned kitchen know-how with children. Cristen began her blog to preserve contest-winning recipes, heirloom family recipes, and memories that accompany them. In addition to sharing recipes and stories of farm life with two young kids, another blogging goal was to feature modern-day agriculture and the innovations that will help farmers grow and produce more food using fewer resources than ever before. Cristen will discuss how she shares her farm-to-table story through multiple media channels. Please give a warm welcome to Cristen Clark.
Again, my name is Cristen Clark. Thank you so much, Iowa Pork, for having me here today. Talking about what I am going to talk about with you today is something that is very important to me, and it's drawing that connection between the modern production practices that we are doing and making people who are buying our product comfortable with what we're doing on our farms. So I implore you to draw a few connections between your story and my story. I'm sure a lot of you are pig farmers or farmers in here. Two very important things to me in my life, family and farming. Can anyone say the same about themselves? All right. And then the other thing for me and how I make a lot of connections in what I do as a blogger, and I should say I have the blog foodandswine.com. So if you need any pork recipes or recipes in general, I do tend to talk about food a lot on there. Food is my connecting piece with consumers. I'm not an industry advocate that is a talking head, or I'm not going to only blog about pork, or I'm not going to only talk about this type of way of farming. Food is my connecting piece to make people feel comfortable. I want them to be able to trust me enough. You know, I'm no expert. I'm best friends with a pork All-American sitting in the front row. Aaron Brenneman is here today. Thank you for coming. I want them to be able to trust me as a resource, to know that I can help them find the answers if they do question modern production practices. Food's just the way that I can do it. And I do write a lot about pork, of course, because why else are we here right now? Does anyone ever have an opportunity to grill, barbecue, do anything like that on a larger level, maybe at the Iowa Pork 10 or something at the state fair? Anyone ever done that? Or witnessed or experienced people when they take that pork chop and they take their first bite, oh my gosh, wow, this is great. Nobody can cook like that at home. And we are struggling to get people to prepare our product the right way. Because and Aaron and I just talked about this yesterday, we tend to lead with all the great things and things that make us really excited. Being a pig farmer, a lot of you, I'm sure, food excites me, but innovation, new practices, ways that we're doing things better excite us probably a little bit more than the food on the table. But the consumer wants to know how they can get that Iowa chop to be juicy. Their primary concern is the pork that we are growing in Iowa, and we're growing a lot of it, safe, and is it affordable? So my effort is, starting my blog really was just I'm a terrible scrapbooker. I don't know if any of you, Jared's an avid scrapbooker, isn't he, Sherry? Yeah. Jarrod likes the stickers and cutting things out, and pictures of his show. Well, I'm not that person. So I started the blog to kind of feature the recipes I needed to save, write down. Also, stories of my family. Because as everyone knows, our children grow way too fast. So for me, social media as a young mom was something that I needed to pick up on. That was my first effort as an advocate, that word some people use to define what we're doing, talking about agriculture and advocating for it. Various forms that I use. Social media is available wherever you are, whenever you need it. You can take it with you. It was no event that I had to show up at and get a babysitter for. That's what made it easy for me to kind of start out doing some of that, and in turn meet some of my very best friends. And with the Iowa Food and Family Project, is anyone familiar with the Iowa Food and Family Project? The Iowa Pork Producers Association is a contributor to the Iowa Food and Family Project, which is actually a combination of all of the industry groups, commodities in Iowa, so pork, corn, turkey, dairy, egg. Everyone came together and said, we really need to have a collective voice in talking to the consumer. So we do that. We sign cookbooks at the farmers market, and I do have a little story about that I'll share at the very end, so don't forget. We do a lot of outreach at the grocery store level. And then I brought one. We have printed cookbooks with the Iowa Food and Family Project, which has, recipes from every food group. This cookbook specifically is appetizers, entrees, and desserts. But there's also a lot of farm facts in there and a lot of stories about other Iowa farmers. And when you give a cookbook like it is, can you grab that on my bag, wherever that's at? I'll pass it around. And if I can get you a copy, leave me your address and I'll make sure I get that to you. When you share that with people, automatically they're thankful. And it gives you a good open door to create a conversation. And that's really what we have to do. We have to be available to have those conversations. So the cookbooks, it's fun. If you would like to ever volunteer with the Iowa Food and Family Project, we have an awesome booth at the Iowa State Fair where you can just strike up a conversation, talk to people, and we're sharing ag facts. Expedition Farm Country is another effort that they make where we take 40 people who have never been on a farm around the state to visit various farms. One of my favorite things to do is to feature farmers. Now, this is my brother-in-law, Drew. He's a cattle farmer, but I draw a lot of connections between people who are raising the food and what they like to eat too. Because as the Center for Food Integrity research has said, people trust you more, 3 to 5 times more, if you have shared values. If you express your shared values, they have more confidence in you. But if you're talking about your competence in the pig barns, they're 3 to 5 times less likely to trust you when it comes to making a food purchasing decision. So when we're sharing values about how important it is to keep our kids safe in the barns, or, hey, this is what I feed my kids, the same pork that we are raising on our own farm. It helps to be able to write these posts that kind of draw connections between, and I'm an equal opportunity meat enthusiast, so I like to feature a little bit of everything. We do a lot of blogger tours. We go to errands. We go to Brenham and Port quite a bit. Take these bloggers out. Dominic Iannarelli, the bottom left corner. We get to go and have nice dinners and show these food bloggers who are blogging all across the U.S. how you can make pork taste great and how it's cooked appropriately. Go to processing plants. It's really an amazing thing because we not only have access to these women who are all very powerful, we have access to their networks from coast to coast. One of my favorite things, and this is a little bit like one of my cohorts up here is going to talk about, is the Own Bred, Born and Raised project. It's a project I started in my county for kids that are still raising their own show pigs and not just purchasing them. We do a little interview process, as you can see up there. My husband Mike helps out with that. We give awards and do all sorts of stuff. Just kind of want to be old-fashioned about it. This year we hope to do a little consumer-facing activity with them as well. But then always comes back to the blog. I have my friends help me write content that, it may be for kids, it may be for 4-H'ers, but a lot of my tribe, the people that follow me, don't follow me because I'm a pig farmer. They follow me because they want the recipes. And then if you can slide in every once in a while, they trust me and give them the information that it takes to make them more confident in buying our product, that's the end goal. So I would just encourage you, if you do decide to take a bigger step in making connections with consumers, people buying your product every day, to think about connecting with those people beyond the choir, beyond your friends, the people like Jarrod, raising pigs, doing this. Think outside the box. Reach those people that have no clue what we're doing. Bring them in. Those people, when they become advocates for what we're doing, that's where the power lies. And I love this quote. I see a lot of faces out here, a lot of familiar ones too. But my dad is always, no one cares what I'm doing. Yes, everyone cares what you're doing. And there are so many people looking for trustworthy information in this sensational, screwed up media. It's nuts. Is it not? Is it disgusting? What gets clicks? Not the good stories, the goodness of people. It's all that scary stuff. So for every one of those scary pieces or pieces that are written about pig farming that are unfavorable, we have to have 10 of us stand up and take that conversation back. And here's some really nice farmers just doing their thing, being out, being available, and being there for people when they do have questions. Some more farm tours. I just want to tell you, when you start to engage, if this is your first time, I talk about, and this is my cookbook signing moment, Linda and I had a wonderful conversation over a cookbook. We talked about breakfast pastry and all this kind of stuff. And all of a sudden she said, well, what do you do? Why are you here signing cookbooks for the Iowa Food and Family Project? Well, my recipes are in the book and we raise hogs. Oh, how many? And when I told her, she pretty much spat at me and walked away. Though that was not a good feeling, but the better feeling was knowing everyone around was watching that happen. Okay, think about on social media, when you're having those interactions, everyone's watching to see how you're going to respond. Take the high road. I ended up with 5 people behind her with a ton of support. And she walked off with her little white hat on and her white pants and her perfect red shoes. And I still have Linda's cookbook. I've never written about it yet. I'm going to. But I just encourage you, if you do engage and you do have someone on the other side that you're standing toe-to-toe with that doesn't see eye to eye or doesn't understand why you're doing what you're doing, understand that everyone around is watching. Those people are seeing what you're saying. So just do your best. And why are any of us doing this? For our families. So I just want to thank you for having me today. I'm going to go ahead and turn it back over to Trent, and then I'm sure we'll take questions at the end. All right. Do you want this?
Thank you, Cristen. Okay, our next speaker this afternoon is Jarrod Bakker. He's been raising pigs and has been a lifelong passion to Jarrod, who grew up on a farrow to finish farm. Bakker, along with his brothers, Jordan, and his wife, Sahara? Sherry, sorry. Own Bakker Brothers Genetics, The 50 South Farm markets 1,000 pigs annually. Bakker also works for Fast Genetics, where he sells breeding stock to farmers across the country. Jarrod was one of our 4 finalists for the 2016 America's Pig Farmer of the Year award. The program honors a U.S. pig farmer each year who excels at raising pigs using the we care principle, ethical principles, and is committed to sharing his or her family story with the American public. Jarrod will talk to us about his experience being nominated for American Pig Farmer of the Year and the importance of sharing our success story with the industry. Please welcome Jarrod.
All right, now that the 2 men up here can figure out how the computer works, we'll get started. So, thank you, Trent, for the introduction, and thank you, Cristen and Gary, for being up here with us. When Drew asked me to be on this little panel here, I was a little taken back. I was like, well, Drew, we just kind of were finalists. They came out and they shot a video and took some pictures, and that was exciting. But what do you really want me to talk about? So we got into that, and we're going to talk about, like I said, my experience with that, and then we'll lead into just, I guess, my social media presence and stuff that I like to talk about on my channels. It seems very basic when you're sitting out there, but you have to remember there's less than 2% of our population is involved in agriculture, and obviously less than that is involved in pork production. So, I guess, my story. I'm employed by Fast Genetics as what I would call my daytime job. We sell, breeding stock, gilts, boars, whatnot across the country. As Trent said, my wife and I and my brother run Bakker Brothers Genetics. We run about 50 show pig sows. We sell pigs from anywhere from Iowa to Texas to I think we've sent some out to West Virginia, California. So we cover quite a bit of area. I'm a board member on the Iowa Pork Producers Association as an industry ally, along with Trent and some others here in the room. And then I'm a graduate of Iowa State, like I'm sure many of you in the room are, and I see some younger faces. Hopefully many of you will be. I talked at the youth committee breakfast yesterday morning with the candidates for the ambassadors, and the influence that Iowa State has in the pork industry is huge, and it's exciting to see so many young people willing to take that opportunity. And then last but not least, a picture of my family. My wife Sherry's here in the room, so and then our 3 kiddos there in the deal. So. The America's Pig Farm of the Year contest to me was pretty simple. I guess I was nominated by 2 different people, and I really didn't even go and look through the rules until 15 minutes ago when I was putting my presentation together. So I apologize. It looks like a beginner's workshop for PowerPoint, but and that's nothing against any of you who are in the beginner's workshop for PowerPoint. I just got it. Went and did it pretty quick. So. You're nominated. So when I was nominated, I went and applied through the application process. It's a 5 or 6 page process there. You fill out, you send in, and you make it in. I think I was called by Claire Masker with National Pork Board, and I'm sure many of you in the room are familiar with her. She called and had said that I'd made it into the semifinals, which was a phone interview. The phone interview was with last year's winner of America's Pig Farm of the Year contest, Keith Schottmer, some industry reps. I know Tom Titus with U.S. Farmers and Ranchers was on there, and a few other select people within the Pork Board and Pork Council were on there as well. So general questions were asked is, a lot about your operation, and then some scenarios on what ifs if you were in a conversation with consumers. How would you handle different situations? And the main focus of that is you always want to be positive. There's nothing in this industry let's say that we're hiding, but we want to make sure everything's positive and everything's moving in a positive manner. And again, remembering how few people are involved in pork production, and let alone agriculture. It's such a small, and anything that for us, I guess, seems simple and people would never pay attention to that. When you get it on social media, that's the stuff that people pay attention to. It's the simple stuff where you're like, man, I'm not going to share. That's just a picture of a pig. And that's the post that ends up having the most likes, tweets, retweets, whatever you want to call it. So it is interesting. Excuse me. So when we so I go through the interview process on the telephone there, and they called and said you're going to be a finalist for America's Pig Farm of the Year. Claire called, and I was excited, but I stopped and I said, Claire, I said, now just reassure me, there was more than 4 people that ran for this contest, right? I mean, she didn't answer that question, so maybe there was only 4. I don't know, but anyhow, we were my family and I. We were a finalist. So when you're a finalist, they come out, they do a common swine industry audit on your farm. They go through all your paperwork, take a tour of the barns, take a tour of your facilities, which in all reality, it is kind of intimidating because you don't know, you know in your heart, and you know you're doing things right, but at the same time, it's always that little what if. Well, what if I don't have something right? How big of a deal it is. And really, for anybody that is going to be audited or is in that audit process, it is a big deal because we want to make sure that we're promoting and doing things the right way every day on the farm. But at the same time, they're not out there to shut down your operation. They're going to take care of you. It's a good thing, and it's a thing that's very well received by the public. Excuse me. Obviously, then we're PQA Plus and TQA certified on our little operation. We do our own trucking, so we're TQA certified. We go through all of that and make sure everything's up to par there. Yeah, they came out and did a video shoot. They were out there for probably a day. We did some videos, just common walking videos. I did a shoot on where we were in the nursery and in the farrowing house with the kids. Yeah, it was really something that was it was neat. It was a neat experience to have in terms of having somebody out on your farm. Everybody's always proud to show their farm off, and then when you get the kids involved, the kids are out there. They're excited. We had some on our farm. We had some baby pigs at the time, so they were really excited to show their baby pigs off. And one of the more interesting things experiences I've had with the Real Pig Farm of the Year is we're a small operation. We have 50 sows. Obviously, I'm sure Brenneman's farrow more sows in an hour than we'll farrow in. So we'll just take a quick look. This was our finalist video for the America's Pig Farm of the Year. Hi, I'm Jarrod Bakker, and I hope to be America's Pig Farmer of the Year. Our farm is located in central Iowa, about an hour northeast of Des Moines. For someone that's never been on our farm or on a farm in general, I would describe our farm as a family-owned farm that is run entirely by members of our family. Being part of a farm to me means I get to spend a lot of time with my family. The fact that we get to spend so much time together and at the same time we get to work together to make a product that's safe and affordable is just a very rewarding experience. The benefits of raising kids on the farm is the ability to teach responsibility and teach ethics. The kids, they get a lot of unique experiences that you really can't get anywhere else in the country or in the world other than on the farm. Our farm is unique, and the fact that we raise pigs specifically for 4-H and FFA kids to exhibit at their county and national fairs, state fairs. We have a lot of interaction with youth. And we really drive home the participation in the youth side of the industry. It's important to raise these pigs for kids to show we're not just teaching the next generation of pig farmers, we're also teaching the next generation of consumers who, at the end of the day, can go back and help promote our story. I love what I do every day because it's a challenge. Getting an animal from birth to where we market them, I think, is very intriguing. It's a neat process to watch the different stages of growth. You're raising a product that is going to go on and help educate someone. When I think about the We Care ethical principles, the one that sticks out the most to me is animal well-being. And if our animals aren't taken care of, nothing else in those principles really matter because it'll all fall apart without animal well-being. Consumers can feel safe about our farm knowing that everything that is done is done by myself or my wife or my brother. All three of us are PQA Plus certified. And at the same time, we all three have grown up around hogs and know how it's supposed to be done the right way. In every sense of the word, I would consider us professionals in terms of animal care and well-being. And knowing that you have somebody that is taking care of their product like that should make any consumer feel very confident in what we're doing. I would like to be America's Pig Farm of the Year because I believe that I bring a unique perspective in working with various size farms, from the small farmer up to the large farmer. I'm involved in many facets of the industry, and being able to promote pork from the small guy up to the large operators, I believe that I have the ability to see different sides and see different perspectives while at the end of the day still promoting pork. So yeah, that was our video, and if you're listening, there was a lot of redundancy in the word farmer, and I cannot tell you how many times we had to retake a shot because I was saying producer.
Hi, I'm Brad Greenway, and I hope to
Hey,
be
Brad.
America's Pig Farmer of the
Brad
Year.
is actually America's Pig Farmer of the
Peggy
Year.
and I run a diversified farm west of Mitchell, South Dakota, which would be in the south central part of South Dakota. We have cattle, we grow corn, soybeans, wheat, we also grow alfalfa.
Came out of nowhere.
So anyways, yeah, Brad, if you guys don't know, did win America's Pig Farm of the Year. But anyways, the experience of the video shoot, you do some retakes and reshots, and I was used to saying pork producer or pork production, and Claire, I'd get done and I was like, I'm excited, that was a great shot, and Claire would be like, nope, you said producer, you didn't say farmer. So the farmer thing is consumers connect with the word farmer. I don't know what the statistic is. I'm sure, Cristen, you probably know what the statistic is, but it resonates more. Let's put it that way. The word farmer resonates more with consumers. So the consumer aspect of it is something that obviously at the end of the day we are all making pork, regardless of what our operations are. All of these pigs are going to end up in the food chain, and when you need to resonate with your consumer, obviously public videos like this you need to have right. So that was one of the small things that got a little monotonous, but was still kind of funny. Was the overuse of the word farmer, in my opinion. It just was farmer, farmer, farmer. The other thing that I took a lot of heat from my buddies was, I don't know if I'm sure some of you in this room caught it, but when I was checking the feed bin, I was on the complete opposite side of where it was opening, and I objected to that, and they're like, oh, don't worry, just do it. No one will notice. Well, the very first thing that people said to me when they saw that I had been around feed bins was, why were you on the wrong side? So that was interesting, but it was a good time. Video, I think, bragging a little bit about my wife and my kids with them in it. It obviously turns out a heck of a lot better than if you just had me in it. So this was the picture we used when we went through the voting process, the America's Pig Farm of the Year contest. Yeah, kind of a cheesy picture there of me, but whatever. They thought it looked good. So in September, we went and did a final interview in Chicago. I met with the other 3 finalists, which the other 3 are all very, very good pork producers, are very well connected and aren't afraid to stand up for the industry and do what's right and say what's right. So we had a good time in Chicago. We met with members of the National Pork Board. There was a food blogger there. There was Dr. Jody Sturley from Iowa State was there. A lady with, I don't remember her name, but she was with the United States Humane Association. Is it Humane Association? American Humane Association, not the United States, not HSUS, but American Humane Association. There was a lady in Chicago that started her own butcher shop and her own butchering business, and she was very much like a food blogger as well as talking about her promoting her butcher shop. And it was interesting. Those were the individuals that we met with. They had all sorts of scenarios and different ways of looking at things, and asked us questions on how we would respond and how would we promote the industry. It was very interesting. It was very a good time to and a unique experience to get out there and talk there in Chicago. So we did have the online voting portion then, and then I think in October they called in, and that's when they announced that Brad was the winner. In which, if you guys have never met Brad Greenway, I would encourage you, if you get the chance, to meet Brad. Brad is an awesome individual, a great spokesperson for the industry, and really knows what he's talking about. America's pig farmers should be very proud to have Brad Greenway as their spokesperson. Just a really upstanding guy. These are just some quick pictures that I use on my own, I guess, social media campaign. These were also taken during the video shoot. Simple things, nothing spectacular. This is an inside shot of our farrowing house. You'll notice our farrowing crates there. We have hot pink, blue, and teal farrowing crates. My wife is in charge of the farrowing house, and she decided when we put those crates in that she wanted to have a little bit more of a maternity ward, a little bit more of a female version. So we painted those crates up, and she just informed me last weekend on social media that the next time we put crates in, she's going to put pink glittery farrowing crates. So I guess somebody help me with that argument down the road. Kids are an awesome way to utilize promotional tools, I guess, in when you're on your farm, and any picture of kids involved with livestock is great. People love it. It draws it to them, or they're drawn to it. People are relaxed around kids. The picture there to be your right, that's what we call our chip room, where we get our pigs ready for sales. My two kids, our two youngest, Cooper and Olivia, who are 5 and 3. We have an exhaust fan on this wall, and on the other side of the wall is our sow lots. And I was out in the sow lots. I knew they were inside there, and I could smell, it's a substance called pink oil that we use on the pigs when we're getting them ready to picture. It's just the oil-based product, gets them all shiny. And I could smell that coming through the exhaust fan. And I knew those two were in there, and you just shake your head because you know it's not good. I walk in that door and open that door, and those two are leaned over the gate, and the picture doesn't show it, but 2 feet above their head is just a fog of this pink oil stuff. And I walk in, and I look at them, and they just look at me with this innocent look and go, "Well, Dad, we just wanted to make the pig shiny like you." Like, well, you're so mad, but at the same time, what do? You can't argue with that. The picture to your left there, I do a lot of judging at county shows. One of my things I started this fall was I do the final drive selfie. These kids, obviously, a lot of you younger individuals are involved in social media, and social media is here. It's not going anywhere. It is a great tool. Just snap a quick picture of whatever you're doing on the farm and put it on social media just to let people know. So I have a little speech I do when I'm judging, and then I think I finish it with, "Well, I put my money where my mouth is. We're going to do the final drive selfie." I have the kids who are in the final drive of the show line up behind me, and we do a selfie right there in the middle of the ring, right during the final drive. So it's simple stuff like that. I mean, it's nothing extravagant. Technology is a huge thing that I think we need to show off. Obviously, the manure application, manure tank there, and when people think of applying manure, they think of the spreader and the manure flying out the back. It is obviously obvious to those in the room here. It is so much more than that right now. And the technology that's involved, these simple pictures show that. I mean, our little brown box here, to those in the room, I'm sure that's very outdated, that know how the technology works, GPS technology works, but the consumer doesn't know. I mean, for them to sit there and look at that picture and say, "Wow, that little box basically drives that tractor." I mean, that's really kind of a cool thing. And again, it's simple. Like I said, America's Pig Farm of the Year, it's a great promotional idea for the pork industry. I think it's something that needs to have a lot more involvement from producers. Producers do not need to be afraid to step out and promote their system, their farm, because there are people, and we all know, there are people that want to change the way we live and change the way we produce pork. We all know that we're doing things the right way. We need to be able to step up and do the right thing and voice our story, because we cannot let people who don't know dictate how we do when we know what we're doing is right. Social media, again, it's not going anywhere. It's here to stay. It's only going to get more involved in our lives. It's simple, it's easy, it's quick, and it reaches a lot of consumers extremely fast. So, I believe connecting with consumers will be one of our greatest challenges moving forward. I don't know about you guys, but there's not exactly a lot of young couples moving to our neighborhood looking to farm. that have never farmed before. In fact, it's the exact opposite. So engaging consumers, engaging those challenges is really what's going to help drive things forward. So with that being said, thank you very much.
Thank you, Jarrod. And on our next speaker I'm pleased to introduce is Gary Sovereign. He's from my neck of the woods. And I should kind of follow the script here a little bit. Gary is a fifth-generation family farmer from Cresco, Iowa. His family farm specializes in grain production, and he also is a part owner in a 2,700-head sow farrow-to-finish operation. Gary has been involved in 4-H and FFA and local youth programs for the last 30 years and believes that educating the youth and public about modern agriculture is a necessity. Gary helped in the implementing of the Ag Education Center located on the Howard County Fairgrounds, where he has been on the board for over 20 years. This is a modern swine production building where the youth can use for their fair projects and help bridge the disconnect from modern swine production with the public. Gary will talk about the project he spearheaded in his community that gives youth the opportunity to be involved in the industry and highlights their efforts to the public at the Howard County Fairgrounds. Please welcome Gary Sovereign.
Thanks, Trent. Just a couple things I should add on there is that I've never spoken in front of a group before. I've never done a PowerPoint before, and I swear like a sailor. So we'll see how this goes. This kind of the bridging the gap between today's youth and consumer. This is how we did it up there at our fairgrounds. There is our old swine building on the fairgrounds, built in 1923. Here's what we ended up with 2016, about $672,000 later. So another example of old and new environments, a 16-year-old 1961 producer on the left and the same same producer on the right. Big change in environment there, I think. Outside and inside of the new building, you can see, this was just completed last spring. The inside there with the equipment, that's where the kids house their pigs for the fair. Here's the swine project in a nutshell. The costs are $15 a pig. Pays for just about everything. You're eligible for the ribbon auction. Pigs are they have to choose their own pigs. And we'll get into that here in a second. Registration's at the execute office and right on down the line. Minimum hour per week, 4th through 12th grade. And the reason why we have 4-H and FFA members because they're structured organizations. They all got a set of rules that they must meet in order to show. Prep for the fair, that's actually the kids picking out the pigs right there that day. To the right, it's a shower in, shower out facility, biosecure. And the left, the gilts and boars are on the right, so they got showers for each sexes there. So another thing is the 6 educational activities. 4 of them are mandatory, so they have to go to at least 4 of these in order to be eligible to show at the fair. We got Dan Lane, instructor at Northeast Iowa Community College, does one on selectman showmanship. Mike Vega, Lynch Livestock, does on careers, opportunities, change in industry. Dr. Laura Bruner, Swine Vet Center, she answers top 10 questions. Jeff Knott, he does nutrition and showmanship. Dr. Brad, animal welfare. Then at the very end, we have Mark Storley, ISU Extension, does one on economics closeout. He tells the kids right down to how much feed we eat, how fast they grew. Basically, try to get the closest we can to how many people we're going to feed with this project. Because one thing we have to keep in mind, animals are still a food source, Learning about nutrition and showmanship, that's Jeff Knott there talking to some of the kids about nutrition. And then we got the little show ring showed up down there for the kids. He's showing them how to showmanship. In 2015, we had 3 kids and 17 pigs show at our fair. We built this building. Last year, we had 32 kids show at our fair. I provided a meal. They're, what do you say? We got 3 local lockers in our county, and I featured a meal from our local lockers, and we had people asking. We sold 43 head in this swine project to people, the parents, or whoever wanted to buy a pig, to local foods, to local lockers in our county. Here's some questions. Hannah Schmidt, she's a 5th grader. Here's just an example of some of the questions that one young lady asked, so we take things for granted what kids don't know. Most of these kids were from town, never been on a farm, just got an opportunity to show there. We had the band director's daughter showed pigs, the chief of police doctor's daughter showed pigs. There's just opportunities there that they never would have had before if we didn't do this. There's a show day at the fair. Experiencing new life. There's Dr. Laura there on the right there amongst the kids. When we had Sal's actually fairing at the fair, this is the farrowing room on that building. She was supervised all the farrowings. On the left, we had some calves born at the fair too. That was a highlight. And one of my best is this young gal right in the middle, Amber Haran. She was supposed to be showing a gilt out in the ring, and I couldn't find her. And I was looking back. We go back in the farrowing room. Well, she's elbow deep in middle sow pulling pigs. Dr. Laura had her. She wanted to do it, and Dr. Laura had her do it. And I says, looks like she's a scratch. But she had a smile on her face from ear to ear. That's an experience that she never would have had. There's a project here where I'm just trying to think, is that your school or is this during the fair? This could be during the fair. It's just that it was a highlight. I kind of got in trouble. Riceview Farm stepped up big time, where we had so many pigs, so many kids show up during the fair that I need more supervision. So I had to get on the phone and call Riceview Farms, and they got some people up there. And there's one gal back there who works for Riceview supervising. But take my hats off to them gals. There's some kind of a stigmatism sometimes, these gals, that they say they're a farrowing technician. Oh, you work in one of them places. I tell you what, they got up here, them kids were so tickled to death to teach them kids. Them kids were happy to see them women. They were just happy. It's a job that's critical to the industry, but much underrated. Fun and educational for all ages. This is during the fair. The kids are drying off the pigs. We had a lot of ages going in. It was during the week of the fair, we opened it right open because the hogs, it's a terminal show, so all the hogs go to slaughter. We had people in there with, wheelchairs, walkers, strollers, kids, mamas and kids going there with strollers. So when these people drive by and see these big hog buildings along the highway, they have no idea what's in there. Here, they got to go right inside and see it for firsthand. This is Farm Safety Day. We had Farm Safety Day. That's Leon Sheets there on the left. He's talking. He was talking about his accident with pig gas. But this is actually our show ring too. It's just cleaned up at the time. Here's Kid Pigs in a Parlor. This is a project we did last fall in conjunction with the Riceview Farms. On the left there, we're showing kids TDGs, corn, beans, bean meal on the table. You'd be surprised at how many kids that looked the feed in the feeder and didn't know they're the same thing. It's just another thing we take for granted. You ask kids about cows being milked and pigs being born, very few kids knew. The ones that did were the Hispanic kids. They knew, 'cause that's where their parents, their mom and dads worked there. So, but that's what we did that day. We had kids come in. They got to see sows, feral, and baby pigs, and they got to see cows milked all in one spot. We had 330 kids come in that day. And here's the final slide. This is kind of the groundwork's done now, but it looks a lot nicer than that. But there's just a picture of some kids and Reichsview employee. And one thing that this picture doesn't tell is that young fellow there on the left holding that pig with a plaid shirt looks pretty cute, don't he? We know we caught that little shit trying to steal that pig 7 times that day. So, but that's all I got, I guess. So thanks for your time.
Thanks, Gary. Yep. How about we give these guys another round of applause? They did a great job. Do we have any questions for any of these 3 great people up here? Nothing at all. You in the back.
Gary, I'm interested with your farrowings and that biosecurity. Where do those sows come from? Where do those pigs go after farrowings? How's all that handled?
The sows come from Reichsview Farms, and they were donated. And I had a local farmer, and the pigs went outside. A local farmer bought the sows and pigs, and he raised them on his farm, and he sold them as butchers to the neighbors and stuff.
Go ahead.
How long did it take you to fundraise for that center?
We're not done yet. No, it started out as we started out 4 years ago. I talked to Dale Reichs at the NPIC, and I told him what I was thinking. And 6 months later, he seen me. He says, "You know what? I think it's a great idea. Let's do it." You know, and he committed some funds right away. Our family committed some funds right away. We talked to the cement guy stepped up, and we got pretty much a third of it. You know, went to the local banks, and they did pledges over 3 years. So we owe about half of it yet, and that's how he did that, you know, because I couldn't go to the fair board and just say, I'm going to pull a rabbit out of the hat and say, let's just take a chance to do this, you know. So we actually had funds lined up. And the one that helps a lot is the local electric co-op. We borrowed $200,000 from the local electric co-op on a 0% interest loan. We still got to make the payments, you know, but we still need to. We can make the payments, but you know, county fairs, they don't make any money. You know, you still got to make the payments. You know, so the more we get down, the better. But that's how we're sitting there now. So,
is there anybody else? Go ahead.
When the kids are raising the pigs, getting ready for fair, is there somebody who does a periodic check to make sure things are going in the right direction? If there's a pig that's sick, needs to be treated, who oversees all that?
yep. Well, I hired a lot of the daily stuff. I worked with our Crestwood FFA and paid a student $10 a day to come in, and same way with the laundry. You know, we had laundry to do too, and I was there quite a bit. You know, the laundry got to be more because we had boyfriends showering in, girlfriends showering in, aunts, uncles, grandparents. I didn't expect that many people to shower in with these kids, but they did. You know, it really surprised me. You know, but I was up there quite a bit. Kind of a little short story, quick, is that, you know, when I first got married in 1982, times were bad. We lived in town. Lived in town for 16 years. Drove out the farm every day. Did chores. Bought my place with my grandma when she died. I've been living there now for 18 years. And what's happening now? I'm driving to Cresco to do hog chores now. But, you know, that's what we're doing now, is trying to get as many youth to the FFA to do that as much as we can, you know. So, but I had a lot of phone calls from a lot of kids, you know, a lot of questions. So,
Anybody else have any questions? Okay, I kind of had one for you, Gary. Now, of the 32 kids that showed pigs in at the fair, how many of them were from town, had no connection at all to agriculture. Do you know?
It's about
It's-
50%.
It's a pretty high percentage.
It's about 50% that did, yep.
And I really commend you for that. I mean, you've reached those kids, and those kids will reach other kids. They will keep attracting. And yeah, I think it's a very good thing. I really do. So, go ahead.
Do you allow people to bring outside pigs in, like if somebody wants to buy pigs from Jarrod and bring them out?
Yes, in the other half, you look back, the taller part, the west half of that building, we got a whole big building we built too that puts the dairy cattle and goats. We got a place there for people to bring their home raised. We call it the home raised pigs. We don't want to discourage kids from not raising their own project. You know, this is guided for the people that don't have access to do it. You know, so.
Okay, let's give them another round of applause. Thank you.